Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wade Watches. I'm Wade, and today I'm going to be reviewing Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, directed by John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, and starring Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Jean Page, Justice Smith, Hugh Grant, and I forgot that girl's name. I am so sorry, and among others, I'll say. But anyway, uh, going into this movie, I really didn't know what to expect, and I was kind of preparing to just kind of have a meh reaction to this movie because I know nothing about Dungeons and Dragons, beyond pretty much beyond basic name recognition. I know it's a role playing game, and that's about all I know about it. Closest thing to a real world experience that I have had with Dungeons and Dragons, unfortunately, wasn't a positive one. It was back when I was in college, and basically, like, this guy who campus wide was known for being that creepy guy, and it wasn't just people being nasty or rude. He genuinely was freaking creepy. Um, but basically, the campus weirdo tried to start his own D&D club, and he was just one of these people who um just kind of like inserted himself into everything uninvited, forced himself into things, and he just, weirded literally everybody out, definitely including myself. And he just kept trying to, he just kept badgering me into joining this club. And eventually, just to get him to go away and, leave me alone, I said, sure. I never ended up going to a meeting or everything. And I heard from, an acquaintance of mine who did join the club that he was acting creepy, so felt kind of validated. But anyway, all that to say that my one and only real world experience with the Dungeons and Dragons game, unfortunately, wasn't a positive one. I was just kind of ready to go, and that's not a reflection of all D&D players. I'm sure you guys are lovely people. Yeah, like anybody who's passionate about a game or franchise can be. But anyway, back to this movie. So yeah, I was just kind of prepared to go in this movie with and walk out with kind of meh. I didn't get most of that, but kind of reaction. But no, this was a lot of fun, man. Just fun. It was fun. Um, in a nutshell, I would definitely say that this movie is Guardians of the Galaxy, more or less, in a fantasy setting. Not an exact ripoff of Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously not, or else I wouldn't be as satisfied as I am right now if it was like a shot for shot ripoff. But it's Guardians of the Galaxy esque in the sense that, these unlikely heroes, these outsiders must band together to, pull off a job. And, it was just a lot of fun. Yeah, there's really not much to say. The plot is, I try not to get into the plot on this channel, as you guys know by now. The plot is nothing that you haven't seen before. Um, the ultimate end goal, the thing that needs to be accomplished in this movie is nothing you haven't seen before, but it was pulled off well. Sometimes if it ain't broke, you don't have to fix it, as the old saying goes. And this is a textbook example of it. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it, because they pulled this off well, and I think that's definitely in part due to just the energy of this cast. You could tell everybody's just having a blast. Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Justice Smith, um, the woman the girl who plays the shapeshifters, whose name just escapes me at the moment. Reggae John Page, definitely Hugh Grant in this movie, dude. Hugh Grant is just having the time of his life as the villain in this movie. Wow, man, epic. Everyone's just having a blast with this movie. You can tell everyone's having fun, especially Chris Pine. This is definitely more or less his story. The mission that they're on is directly related to him, something that he's involved with. It all goes back to his individual story. That's why this group of unlikely heroes is on this quest. Is all because of him, and he really sells this character. He's just one of those actors who, I don't know, man. Chris Pine just knows how to be. He's another one of these Hollywood leading men who's just like naturally charismatic, naturally likable, and naturally funny. I definitely noticed in some of the other previous movies Chris Pine has started in, especially the Wonder Woman movies is a good example. This dude just naturally knows how to, say something average but have it come off as funny, and this is no exception. He had me dying. A lot of scenes in this movie actually had me like full on laughing, and I definitely wasn't expecting that from a Dungeons and Dragons movie. So honestly, guys, I really don't have a whole lot to say. This was just, a blast. I'm reminded of how I felt after seeing, once again, to bring up Guardians of the Galaxy, how I felt after seeing the 2014 Guardians of the Galaxy. I walked out with a huge grin on my face saying, saying something along the lines of, this is the most fun I've had in a movie theater watching a movie in a good long time. And Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves managed to perfectly recapture that feeling for me. And that's especially remarkable because, once again, I know nothing about this franchise and this universe, and I didn't care. It didn't matter. There didn't seem to be a bunch of like blatant Easter eggs. There wasn't like this explicit attempt to, pull off, all this fan service, like say, an MCU movie where we are. That's where we are at this point. Like, if you haven't been along this journey since the beginning, you will be lost. Didn't feel that in Dungeons and Dragons. They wanted to make, a fantasy adventure comedy action movie that everybody could enjoy, can enjoy, and they managed to pull that off. And that's about all I have to say about it. Um, uh, I guess the only gripe, and I wouldn't even call it a gripe because, again, they managed to make it work in this movie, is that, like I said, this is nothing you haven't seen before. The whole thing, unlikely heroes, oh, we're a bunch of failures, but together, if we work together, we can be great. It's nothing you haven't seen before. All the plot points are, it's very predictable. I knew where everything was going. But I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't underwhelmed because, again, it executed this formula in a very enjoyable way. I really had a blast watching this. It was just a fun time at the movies. So, wrapping it up, I give Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves a very well earned 9 out of 10. I was not expecting to rate this movie that high, but it was just so much fun. And it's really something when a movie exceeds your expectations. Because when I saw the trailers, I was just like, looks decent, but it doesn't look like anything that I'm gonna, really, really enjoy. That was kind of my reaction to the trailer. But lo and behold, I walked out of this movie going like, that was just a hell of a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this more than I thought I would. And yeah, I was not expecting to rank Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, a film based off of a board game brand, and just a wider franchise, because I know it was also a cartoon and another movie that's not well received, a franchise that I know nothing about and enjoy it this much. So once again, 9 out of 10 for Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Fun movie, good action, good fantasy. Everybody in this movie is obviously having a blast. Go out and see it if you haven't already. Pretty good time. Really not pretty, really good time at the movies. I'm acting like it's decent. I have to like it's just decent. No, I had a lot of fun with this movie, hence the high rating. So I definitely recommend you check this one out in theaters before it goes away. So once again, 9 out of 10 for Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. This has been yet another edition of Wade Watches, and I will see you all soon. Peace.